the great heart of a mountaineer. Come and listen to my story about a man named Jed, a poor mountaineer who barely kept his family fed through the difficult years in the hills. Life was a constant struggle against the rugged terrain and the unpredictable seasons, yet Jed maintained a spirit of quiet dignity and unwavering kindness. Then, one fateful day, while he was out hunting to find some food for his kin, an extraordinary event occurred that would change their lives forever. He was shooting at some food, and suddenly, up through the ground come a bubbling crude. It was oil, that is, black gold, Texas tea, surging from the earth in a dark and wealthy fountain. Well, the first thing you know, Jed is a millionaire, and the quiet life of the mountains is replaced by the bustling whispers of change. The kinfolk gathered around and said, "Jed, move away from there," for they believed that a man with such newfound fortune belonged in a place of grandeur. They told him that California is the place you ought to be, a land of sunshine and endless opportunity. So they loaded up the truck with everything they owned and they moved to Beverly Hills, that is, swimming pools and movie stars. They became the Beverly Hillbillies, bringing their simple values and honest hearts to a world of glitz and glamour. In the heart of Washington, District of Columbia, a new chapter began when Jed found himself in the office of a man who represented the busy world of city affairs. It was there that a voice asked, "Wanted to see me, Mr. Clampett?" "Yes, sir, Mr. Ernest John," Jed replied with his characteristic politeness. "We had us a kind of a bad experience here in my town in Washington, District of Columbia. It happened right after I bought the White House from your Indian friend Sutton Hall." Yes," the man replied, "the last of the District of Columbia Indians, a noble woman." "Why, I am not faulting her," Jed explained, for his heart held no malice. "It was when we took the deed over to give it to the president that we run into the trouble." The conversation continued with a gentle confusion that often followed the family. "You tried to see the president without telling me?" "Oh, we did not want to bother you," Jed said. "We thought we would just drop in and hand him the Waukegan." When asked if he was forgetting that Waukegan is Indian for deed, Jed smiled, acknowledging the pale-faced pronunciation that had confused him for a moment. It was at the gate to the White House where things went wrong, and the misunderstanding led to a surprising detour. "I am terribly sorry, especially for your sake, Ellie Mae," the gentleman said, but the response came quickly, "No, I am Granny." The mix-up was a testament to their youthful spirits, for they both looked so young and radiant. "Well, I do not feel young and radiant," Granny remarked, recalling the time they were taken to a place they thought was a calaboose, but it was more like a hospital called a psycho ward. When asked if they knew what that was, the gentleman kindly explained that it was a place reserved for very important visitors like themselves. "Now that I recollect," Jed added, "they did think that we come from a foreign country, a place called Paranoia. There was another country mentioned too. They said from the way we looked and acted, we was either paranoics or schizophrenics. It was a natural mistake, they were told, for there are many of them here in Washington." Jed, always thinking of others, wondered why the president would not see them after he had spent $1 million to buy the White House for him. The gentleman promised to go to the White House right now and speak to the chief. "Well, you tell him and his missus that we would like to be invited for victuals," Granny suggested, and she was assured they would have victuals in the gold room. "Tell the president's missus not to go to no trouble," she added, showing the humble nature of her soul. When they heard the president's wife referred to as the First Lady, Granny joked that the other president's wives might not appreciate a crack like that. Meanwhile, in another corner of the city, a different kind of conversation was taking place. Someone was trying to scrape off Indian paint to prepare for a new plan. "Honey, I have got the Clampetts convinced that you own the entire District of Columbia," a voice whispered. They had already sold one little parcel, the White House, but the ambition grew. "What is wrong with getting another $1 million for the Capitol building and the Washington Monument, or even Independence Hall in Philadelphia?" The plan was to take the money and fly to Guatemala, but the conscience of one was wavering against the greed of the other. "You have got $1 million to fight smog. You have got another $1 million for the White House. Let us take the $2 million and fly." Back at the residence, the family was settling in. "Penny does not need to do all the housework," Jed noted, for there were 1,000 rooms in this hotel. Ellie Mae entered with a surprise, a collection of kittens she had found and named after presidents. There was George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, and Theodore Roosevelt. Although Jed initially thought they did not need more critters, Granny relented when she heard the name of the last one, Jefferson Davis, saying he could stay. "We have got so many critters now," and Miss Jane was there to help look after them. The scene shifted to a big show inside where a crowd was gathering. A man was asking for a ticket, 25 cents, to see the show. "What is going on in there?" "Buy a ticket and find out." It was Ellie's animals, and the man figured if he was going to take care of them, he might as well make a buck. He promised an act with a fearless leopard woman fighting a full-grown mountain lion with her bare hands. But news arrived from the bank that Jed Clampett had written checks for $2 million made out to cash. The news was met with calm, for at least the Clampetts were not in the clutches of a confidence man. The story of the Capitol building became the next grand gesture of patriotism. The city was in a turmoil because it was believed that Sitting Hawk had pitched her teepee on the grounds and would allow no one to enter. It was a state of emergency, and the country was paralyzed. "Well, why don't we just go over to the Capitol, and I will buy it from her?" Jed proposed. It was a patriotic gesture that would surely make the president overjoyed. When they arrived at the beautiful building, they saw Sitting Hawk and began the process of bargaining in a language filled with unique and colorful words. "Howdy, ma'am," Jed greeted her. The exchange was filled with terms like Minnehaha, meaning lovely lady, and Schlemio, which was loosely translated as genius. When asked what she would take for the Capitol, the negotiations began. "Don't start too high, Jed. Leave room to dicker," he was advised. He offered an Allegheny for the Capitol, the same price as the White House, but the price was $2 million. "Well, if that is her rock-bottom price, I reckon we will have to meet it," Jed decided. The check was made payable to the Committee Acquiring Senate Headquarters, or CSH for short. The generosity did not stop there. There were other choice parcels of real estate like the Washington Monument and the Lincoln Memorial. "She will only sell them if you take them both, for she does not want to break up a set." "Well, I reckon it wouldn't do no harm to look at them," Jed said. As they explored the city, the family remained humble and connected to their roots. Ellie Mae cared for her kittens, and Jethro dreamed of becoming a judge now that his uncle had bought the Supreme Court building. They even considered buying the Pentagon and the Potomac River, though it was noted the river was a bit polluted, so it went cheap. In a final moment of reflection, the group gathered to celebrate. Champagne and caviar were ordered, but the true celebration was one of the heart. Honest John and Sutton Hawk were there, and the family's kindness began to melt even the most hardened of hearts. "You have got to be the nicest man that ever lived," Ellie Mae said to Honest John. "You are a living saint, the salt of the earth, one of nature's noblemen." The praise was so sincere and so overwhelming that it touched a chord of honesty. "I am a confidence man," Honest John admitted, trying to reveal the truth. But the family would not hear of it. "We got nothing but confidence in you," they replied. They saw only the good, believing that he had married the poor old Indian woman to make her last days happy. It was a beautiful misunderstanding rooted in their own goodness. "If everybody was like you, there wouldn't be no wars or riots," they said. "All God's children would love one another like they was meant to." Overwhelmed by such pure and unyielding kindness, the man could no longer keep the money. "Take your $10 million back," he insisted. "It is yours and hers. We don't want it. We don't need it." The family was confused, wondering if they had said something wrong. "It is everything you said," he replied as he left. Jed and Granny concluded that they had simply overpraised him, for a modest man cannot handle such high honors. Well, now it is time to say goodbye to Jed and all his kin. They would like to thank you folks for kindly dropping in. You are all invited back next week to this locality to have a heaping helping of their hospitality. Hillbilly, that is, set a spell, take your shoes off, and come back now. The story of the Clampetts remains a testament to the power of a kind heart and the simple joy of helping others, proving that no matter where you go, the values of home and the warmth of family are the true treasures of life.